up to me and hard work, I'd take that bet. So one of the things, after having worked in local government for about 8 or 9 years, I had a reputation that was probably beyond what I knew, and a lot of the development community, I was actually helpful to the development community as a public sector employee, and when I opened up my own company and they needed work, they started using me. So I've been, I'm in the middle of my 21st year in business. We survived the Great Recession, and are still in existence, and you can't say that for a lot of businesses in Tucson. And we really focus on private sector projects. I do some government work, but most of our work is with the private sector, a lot of private developers. I categorize them into sort of the glamour projects, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. Our core competency projects, the things that people just know we do really well and our bread and butter. Exotic projects, every now and then, you've got to do the chores, and every now and then you get the fun, sexy projects. It's not all fun, sexy projects, as much as you wish it were, that they don't come along all the time. So, and as a small business, if we can do it, we certainly do. I mean, we're not in the business of turning away business. As a landscape architect, in my entire career, I have had to fight a lot of public impressions. This is what society thinks I do. I still meet people that, oh, you're a landscape architect. My yard, my rose bushes, these are jokes I was told in school 40 years ago, still apply. But anyway, there you go. This is what my parents think I do. They're awesome. I'm lucky to still have them around, and they're some of my biggest supporters. This is what I thought I would do when I was in school. This is their side. I'm no trade, one of the founders of landscape architecture. Amazing, beautiful work. But this is really what I do. A lot. So that kind of gives you a little bit of, my presentation is really a peek behind the curtain. Yes?
Is that a wine bottle on the right?
That was given to me as a gift. It's not there anymore, though. Projects, awards, my husband's picture, that sort of thing. That's the office. So anyway, any other questions? But like I said, a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of what a work-a-day small landscape architecture firm does, particularly in Tucson. It's what we really do. We do field work. We're out in the field, and obviously seeing sites and getting on the ground is essential to our work. This particular job was a small project. It was a big job where we had a small role in it, but up in the middle of nowhere, Kelvin, Arizona. Anybody know? Heard of Kelvin? It's kind of between, I don't even know what it is. It's like if you try to go to Boyce Thompson Arboretum and you go up and you go the back way and you're going to just blink and go through Kelvin. It's really in the middle of nowhere, Arizona. But they were building this huge bridge across the Gila River, and they were impacting some endangered species habitat, and they had to have some restoration plans for the little postage stamp size impacts to that habitat. We were able to provide those plans, and so this was going on and doing some post-construction inspection of the restoration work. So I mean, sometimes we're just out looking at little plants, and found this is one of the things we found there, some grassroots art. So kind of interesting, really, like I said, in the middle of nowhere. This is Tom and Daniel, two of my staff members, and Deanna, who was an intern with me last summer from U of A. And
Sam, we got it. She'll fix it.
Sam, get that. I'll try not to mess up. Okay, there we go. All right. We do surveys for some endangered species, Pima pineapple cactus on some sites, and these are surveys where we're looking for something we hope we don't find. So we're so again out in the field. We do work in construction observation. Tucson, Pima County, all the jurisdictions here have a lot of native plant ordinances that mandate that you inventory plants and kind of figure out what you're going to do with them in your post-development. Some you preserve, some you transplant, some you mitigate. So this is what a tree spade looks like. Not a lot of people get to see what tree spades look like, but we're out there watching and observing things that are going on in the field after we've done our plans to make sure that they're followed through. We do site visits, and sometimes we have like fun sites. This kind of falls under the glamour site. We did a project this past year for the pumpkin patch, and the Marana Pumpkin Patch is up in Marana, and this is the existing pumpkin patch facility. It's a seasonal property. They grow the pumpkins as you bring your family out. You get on the tractor, you get your pumpkins, and they have all sorts of other events. The owner of this, the pumpkin patches, purchased a second property that he's moving his whole operation to. So we have to do new site planning and things like that. And amongst things I never thought I'd ask as a designer is how much room do you need for your pig races? So we actually got to do some fun design, fun site planning on something, like this. Sometimes we do some things that are completely outside of our landscape architecture space, and we get involved in sort of public art events, so we say. This is a large sculpture that was commissioned, and it was in a foundry that was closing, and we had to move the sculpture off-site. It had actually been sitting there for about 10 years. They had to assemble it before the foundry closed and the building was no longer available. And so we had to arrange to figure out how to move this 13-foot tall bronze sculpture. It's still sitting it's not in the public realm yet, but we had to move it out, so we have it in a private property right now. Hoping someday we get to design the place and it will make its debut in the public realm. But that was a very interesting project that we did. Again, some of the more bread and butter work, we work on variances, and sometimes existing businesses like the Kia on Speedway needed to get some variances. They were upgrading, and so we're just working on everything from out there posting the signs to developing the plans to appearing before the Board of Adjustment to get the variance. We were successful, thankfully, on this one. Is things we work on. A lot of so just a lot of time in the office. This is a picture of our office. We're located at the Rito Business Park, right by the racetrack. I spent many years working downtown. Originally, when I first graduated in landscape architecture, I worked downtown. I worked for local government, and then I also, when I opened Novak Environmental, I was down at the original Owls Club there on Main for many, many years, and looked. Frankly, when I was able to think about buying an office building, I looked downtown for a year, and there just, unfortunately, at that time, that was about 2002, 2003, there was nothing available. I think if I was doing it today, I think I'd find lots of opportunities. But at the time, I was able to, with a business partner, get an office in the Rito Business Park, so First and River, and it's been a great location. It's easy to get downtown, it's easy to get around town, and so, and owning my own office building has really, for Novak Environmental, really, I think, helped us survive the Great Recession and give it, I actually sublease some of my office space now because I have more space than I need for my staff, but it's allowed us to have that, that presence all these years. Now, so we have team meetings. This is a typical design charrette. This happens to be the pumpkin patch group as well. Does this have a pointer?
It should have
There's a little laser on it.
Maybe not. Okay, that's okay. Anyway, we just at this point, we have our team meetings. We have a conference room in a convenient location. This is evidence of this kind of space. Sometimes it's just where you are. It's like, oh, great, you have the conference room. We'll meet at your office. Well, that's always good because again, it brings that business energy into your office. I said, here's the landscape architect. This is Tom. Going to make copies. Coming back from making copies. Landscape architects tend to do all the work in between all the other work as well as doing our work, as Tim will know. So anyway, but this is like I said, a lot of fun when you get together and actually design charrette. We have fun in our office. This is just a peek inside our office. Slinky, having fun, and again, that's really key to having a good office and a good workspace, is having people that you enjoy working with and you work together. This is fun. We have developed over time. We call it the Novak Environmental Inc. vernacular. Sometimes people, every industry has its own vernacular. We have our own office vernacular, and we just kind of keep a running list of it. My favorites are Gradu, Chucky Jam Full, Diddy Dots, Swoopy Dots, they're different. Skiwa, that's when something's not quite straight. Stripsies, we do a lot of landscaping of stripsies, long, narrow, skinny little things. Tim is laughing. And sports games, and only that's because Daniel, who works for me, was not very, I'm a big sports fan. He's not, he came into the office one morning, and he says, Karen, you'd be so proud of me. I went to a sports game last night. That's not what they call it. Sports games are not a thing, man. Ball games. So anyway, that's just, like I said, something that is fun about our office. Obviously, we rely on technology, a lot of computer-aided drafting programs, Photoshop, all InDesign, all that stuff. So, we're working on our workstations. You can see our people there. Oh, we visit other projects. This was going out to the Sweetwater Wetlands Butterfly Garden and Water Harvesting dedication. That was last summer. We are working on a project with the city of Tucson where we're doing some water harvest, or some actually recharge basins out in the southeast side of town, the South Houghton Area Recharge Project, or SHARP. And so they wanted to do some water harvesting, so we were checking out the water harvesting tank and that sort of thing. We talked about the glamour projects, our glamour projects, Arizona Petroleum Industrial Site, they were expanding their facility and of course needed to come into compliance with city code, so we had to do landscape buffer yards and everything like that. Again, waste transfer station in Phoenix, Arizona. These are little projects, like I said, they need love too, and it's nice to be able to help them out, and they pay the bills. We have our core competency projects. We do a lot of work with master planning and master plan developers and communities, open space planning, riparian habitat, landscape, that sort of thing. This is a project that's on the southwest side of town. It's called Wildflower. It's been block platted, it's still raw dirt, but that project is moving forward toward development. This is a plan of the open space and trail system that we worked on that project. Every now and then we get the real exotic project, the real awesome projects. This is going to be a new lake that needs to be constructed down in Wilcox as part of mitigation for a big Southwest transmission power line that is going in. And we have gone through all the concept design, and there's an existing lake called Crane Lake, and the new power line was deemed to conflict with the existing lake. And along this 336-mile road, alignment of this power line that started in New Mexico and ends in Phoenix, this was really the only environmental conflict that they came up with in the alignment. And the existing Crane Lake is a man-made game and fish facility, so it wasn't like a natural thing. So the solution was move the lake. And so this is obviously an artist rendering of the new Crane Lake facility. We've got as far as the concept drawings on this, and we are waiting for the next phase, which is kicking off construction documents. And I'm not really, I bug the client just enough, like every few months, like, hey. He's like, oh yeah, we're getting there. So, one of these days, when the time is right, this project will hit and go to the next phase, and it'll be really exciting to see something like this actually get built. Our office is really big on community service, and I see a lot of that idea expressed even in a lot of the work that people are doing here. One of the things that we've been very involved with, and I've been involved with for a long time, is Science Olympiad, which is a science competition for middle schoolers. And I am an event supervisor, and in fact, that's how I met Daniel. And the connection to CAPLA is we kind of bring this together in career discovery for the middle schoolers. So landscape architecture is not something people grow up knowing about, and usually everyone has their discovery story about when they, I heard about landscape architecture and they're just like, wow, that's for me. Trying to reach down into the middle school level and just expose the middle schoolers, because that's when you want that this is a thing. So I volunteer with Science Olympiad. I get to do my little commercial for landscape architecture, and when we do the regional tournaments in Phoenix and Tucson, I reach to the universities and I get the students to come help. So then I get connected to the students. The middle schoolers want to see the college students. They don't want to see, I'm like the peanuts teacher on walk, yes, right? I'm up there talking about landscape architecture, and they're like, old lady, I don't know what you're talking about. But if I get to bring in students and they're in landscape architecture, then I think we're connecting, and just putting it in their heads. So it's something that our office is involved in, and landscape architects, just like I said, trying to get vertical and horizontal, exposure to the profession. Great. The other thing I do when I'm not doing that is my second job essentially is I also serve as an elected member of the Central Arizona Water Conservation District, or CAP Board of Directors. And the CAP Board of Directors is a 15-member board that oversees and manages the Central Arizona Project, which brings Arizona its largest renewable water supply from the Colorado River. 80% of the state's population resides within our three county service area, Maricopa, Pinal, and Pima. So we bring, renewable water supply to most of Arizona. It's a very important job. It's something I'm passionate about. I've got a background in water conservation and water resources, and I was approached by the business community, almost 5 years ago, to wonder if I would run for. There was going to be a seat available. Tucson has 4 representatives. Never in a million years did I think running for public office was something I was going to do. But I looked into it, and it was something I said, sure, let's, I'll do this. And I ran for election and was elected. And so I'm in my 5th year of my 6-year term as a CAP board member. Many meetings in Phoenix, and of course we serve, as I say, we meet in Phoenix monthly. I chair the Public Policy Committee, which is really exciting, has been really exciting in the last couple of years with all the drought contingency plan that I'm sure you're aware of, and all the water policy work that's been going on. I get to go to DC and meet with our federal delegation to talk to them about water, meet with the state legislator and talk to them about water. Any legislation that's coming comes through my committee. We recommend a position to the board that then is, taken to whatever body is working on whatever piece of legislation is what the CAP board, has a position on it, oppose, support, whatever. We just completed the drought contingency plan project, and again, we serve 6-year unpaid terms, and we run in the general election. It's a nonpartisan election. I will be running for re-election in 2020. So about a year from now, I'm going to be ramping up a campaign again, which is a whole nother small business that you have to start when you're running a campaign. But this is just a picture of our board of directors and our meetings that we have up in Phoenix. We hold our meetings monthly. They are live streamed. Our committee meetings, our board meetings are all available on the internet, so you can pop in from wherever you are and look at a bunch of nerdy people talking about water. It's really awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Even though it's an unpaid term, I do get a few perks on this. One of the things that I was asked to do, and I've been doing and really enjoying, is once a quarter I appear on the Bill Buckmaster Show and talk about water. I'm the Arizona Water Quarterly. As public policy chair, if we have elected officials, particularly our federal delegation, congressmen, senators, we give them a nice little helicopter tour of the facilities, and I get to go on those. So I work for helicopter rides. That's a picture. So you can see a picture of the CAP canal from the helicopter. And I get to attend historic events. I was actually one of the handful of CAP in Arizona people that got to be out in Hoover Dam in May when all the drought contingency plan documents were signed, and that was the 7 basin states, the U.S. government, and Mexico. It was an historic event, and the ability to be there was pretty awesome. So that's what I do. And here I go again. I just messed that up. I think we're almost done. My keys to success, just in a nutshell, and anybody who's got a business and has been in business, for any length of time, really realize the challenge of keeping all the plates spinning. You've got your work, your deliverables, your value propositions, your business, your employees, your personal life, your new puppy, whatever you've got going on, you've got to keep all that going. It's important, and we really try, and we think we really are successful at keeping, treating every client project like it is our most important project. Clients don't want to hear, oh, I've got this other, I've got these other things, I've got this other deadline. They don't want to hear that. So, that's not their business. Front facing to your clients, you just make sure that they feel like, their project is the most important, and you're working on it and keeping in touch with them. And I always say, and write justify on occasions, because we're designers. And so, it's I don't know if there's any big secret to what I've done, other than I do credit my parents, especially my dad was an entrepreneur, had run his own business out of the house for many, many years. And so I grew up watching what a small business owner has to do. And, I'm still running out to the mailbox, the day before payroll, waiting, hoping that check that's supposed to land has landed. So, there's, even after all these years, some of that never changes. Sorry to let you know. could never go work for anybody else again after having run my own business for, for 20 years. And so, like I said, all of you who are just starting your journey, I wish you all the best. And I think this organization has got some amazing resources, and it's really great. There was nothing like this in Tucson when I was starting. So that is it. I thank you so much.
5 minutes for questions. Anyone have questions they want to talk about?
When you were just like a 1 or 2 person firm starting out, how did you think about growth and growing? And now these many years later, how do you think about growth as a business?
That's down to repeat the questions already. When I was a 1 or 2 business starting out, how did I think about growth and growing, and how do I think about it now? I was really naive when I started out, and I was actually given an opportunity. I mean, again, it's kind of like these not necessarily things that I woke up one day and said, I'm going to start a business. I was actually contacted by a professional colleague who offered to be my business. Said, I want to start a business in landscape architecture. Do you want to be my partner? And he was a hydrologist, but he saw a business opportunity. Like I said, I was working for government and a single mom at the time. So at the time, I just was, I was just really interested in just putting one foot in front of the other. And I talked. So I guess I didn't think a lot about it, which maybe was a good thing or maybe not. I talked to one of my uncles at the time. I remember being, like trying to decide, should I do this, should I not, and I was like, and I asked him, and he was a Harvard MBA guy, and I said, what's 5 years from now going to look like, Uncle John? And he's like, 5 years will be here. Don't worry about 5 years from now. Worry about what is next. And I really kind of was just, sort of waking up in the morning and what's the next thing? And, you set your short-term goals, like the deadline you have in front of you. You might set some medium range, and maybe there's some long-term, lofty goals. But it's really, for me, it's been 21 years of waking up every morning and putting one foot in front of the other and, trying to take what's available.
Quick announcement, if anyone has a green Toyota, your alarm is going off. Green? Yeah? Okay, great. Go ahead.
All right. Yes.
As a docent of the watershed management group, I of course have to ask this question, but I see a lot of development happening here in town. Not so much as Phoenix. I go up to Phoenix for work occasionally too, because I have a couple of schools up there. But see a lot of development here in town. We're doing a pretty good job of managing the water resources we have. The cap water is basically keeping us from having to pump groundwater, but then I look down at Reno Ranch, I look up in Oro Valley, and we're just pumping groundwater like crazy. So, putting your cap hat on, how do you deal with that? What do you think, with your environmental landscape architecture and the development that you're probably involved with as you're doing that? How do you deal with that?
That's a great question, and that's really kind of the intersection of my kind of avocation on the CAP board and my profession, and as a landscape architect with a background in renewable natural resources on the CAP board, I really am a unique perspective, and that and it's something that has been. At first, remember, reference back to the first slide, I think when I first joined the board, my board members thought I was that person on the riding mower. Over time, I've, hopefully expanded their impression and what landscape architects do. And you're absolutely right. Tucson is an awesome example of water management. And I know that, and I don't know where else they're pumping groundwater. Everybody's got to comply with the Groundwater Management Act. And Tucson is recharging a lot of water. Tucson recharges the CAP water out of Navajo Valley and then pumps it out and delivers it. So if anybody's pumping groundwater, they are doing it within the bounds of the law. The other thing that happens, it's very complicated. I could come back for another hour on this, but there's things that are in place like the Central Arizona Groundwater Replenishment District. Some development might pump groundwater, but they've voluntarily joined the Central Arizona Groundwater Replenishment District, which is also a function of CAP, pay money to CAGRD. CAGRD takes that money and goes and secures permanent resources, water resources that they recharge on behalf of that one developer. So, so it's like the payback, the aquifer. So if you see if someone's pumping like maybe a water company in South, like down south or whatever, they're only doing so within the bounds of this. So sometimes there's more, it's the apps running in the background, I call it, that you don't see that are happening. But for Watershed Management Group, and one of the things that Tucson and we're working with is water harvesting, and I'm really one of the big proponents of water harvesting, because I think my concern is when we're dealing with water resources going into the future is if we ever reach a day where we have no water available for outdoor water use. We want to make sure that we are maintaining and preserving our green infrastructure, and that goes back to quality of life, and that ties right back into everything you want to do here. If Tucson and Arizona is not a nice place to be, if we don't have some green infrastructure, if we don't have trees, if we don't have some green, grass areas to play on, shrubs, flowers, we're not a pretty community, and people will make a choice to go somewhere else. Water harvesting is really at the next big thing to make sure that day, whether it's 20 years from now or 50 years from now, when they say, and I will just say I don't take any position on water and population growth, a lot of people do, but I'm a third generation Arizonan, so I look at it like this state has grown. My grandmother was born here before statehood, so I have more of a Western, attitude about it. If people want to move here, yay, let's figure out a way to let them move here. Water harvesting is one of those things that will help us in the future go forward and maintain green infrastructure while freeing up some water resources for other things like growth development and businesses.
Yeah, you actually have the perfect example right up and down Scott here.
Fantastic,
So,
and we're learning. It's a learning process, but it's really helping. And when I start to talk to people about that, I get a lot of good response. So you've got a friend in us with that.
Cool, thanks.
Last question here.
Oh, yes,
Yes,
made it in. Okay, I hope it's a good one. Where have you found the most success with filling your pipeline to ensure that you have, business coming in?
That's a good question. Where have I found the most success in filling my pipeline and that? It's been like sometimes it's drier than others. I do get involved with, like I said, we're connecting with Southern Arizona home builders. I mean, home builders and developers are our main clients, so I make sure that I'm in front of them, just connecting, and I think what's really helped our firm is just our reputation and just being consistent, and people, and it's a lot of word of mouth. I need to do more marketing. I really actually of all my things I like to do, marketing is like the least favorite of mine. And so, I think if I did more marketing, I might even, do better. And so, just really rely on the power of the work we do, and people, word of mouth, because again, we're tied into private developers. If they don't have the money to spend, no amount of, marketing is going to make them come hire me. One other thing is, though, we are really dependent on an external factor, which is all the codes that Tucson has: a native plant, riparian habitat, landscape ordinances, water harvesting ordinances, and this will be like, I will tell you, on one hand, when these codes come in, you'll hear from the business community, oh, these are the worst thing ever, they're gonna kill us, and I have to empathize with my clients. Yes, you're right. Meanwhile, here's my fee to go help you comply. So there are businesses. It is business opportunities. I have to acknowledge that. So if how to kill landscape architecture in this town, remove all the codes that give us a big chunk of our business. So I think those codes have really helped support a pipeline of the demand of work in this town, and they've also resulted in really good development, and so.
Wonderful.
Can I answer that?
Thank you.
You guys have been great. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. And I have some cards up here. I have both CNP cards and Novak Environmental cards. If anybody wants to grab one and have any other follow-up questions, let me know.
All right, thank you so
you.
much. The thread throughout is building really strong businesses, whatever field you're in. So I'm really glad that you are here, and what a great week too, because now we have this like little river that we have. This is very exciting.
Awesome. Can I say one more thing about that? Just again, because it bears, one of the things that Arizona did as part of the drought contingency plan and the legislation that was necessary to enact the DCP was change state law that allows what they call managed recharge projects, which is releasing water into the rivers. Prior to this year, when you release water into the river, the entity that with the water only got 50% credit for the amount of water that they released towards their water, towards their banked water, toward their stored water. And one of the things that the legislature did was they changed that to make it 95%. So projects like the one that we just had on Monday, where Tucson's releasing effluent into the Santa Cruz River, is also, they're now getting 95% credit for that amount toward their water banking, which will help for the future. So these are little things people didn't know happened as part of some of the other big things, but Tucson specifically is benefiting from that. So
Fantastic.
Which is
Good.
great.
Whoa.
Yes, I'm very excited about it. So we have about just 10 more minutes to connect with each other. If you have any questions, you can come and speak to our speaker. If you have questions about 10 West or Startup Tucson, I'm happy to answer them. So thank you for starting your day with Startup Tucson, working on that tagline. So
Go forth and prosper.